So the next couple of weeks in the Sacred Gatherings, we're going to be doing kind of a book discussion together. We're going to be looking at this book called The Hunger for Home by Matthew Croasmun and Miroslav Volf. These are two theologians that are kind of running the Yale School of Divinity, two theologians I respect deeply. And this book is one that kind of focuses on how Jesus uses meals and hospitality and what some of the bigger significance of that is in forming our values, in talking about what God is like. It's a great little book. So we'll kind of look at some of the different aspects and ways God uses meals and hospitality theologically. For the next few weeks in the Sacred Gatherings. We'll go a couple chapters at a time going through those. So in these videos, I will again, this first video, I'm going to introduce the book itself. I'll read the kind of discussion questions. I'll read some of the quotes we'll be looking at, but as usual, during these kind of more discussion-based ones, rather than me doing the talk, the bulk of what makes it a good discussion will be what we do together in our time at the Sacred Gathering. So first, we're simply going to look at these questions to start with. How are meals and hospitality generally understood in our culture? Describe the ways we usually eat. Why do we eat? Why and how do we get together with others? What are some of the best celebrations you've ever been part of? What was being celebrated? How were these celebrations different from others that fell flat? And then we will have someone read both this famous passage out of Luke chapter 4 and Croasmun and Volf's kind of comments on it. Jesus went to Nazareth where he'd been raised. On the Sabbath, he went to the synagogue as he normally did and stood up to read. The synagogue assistant gave him the scroll from the prophet Isaiah. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to preach good news to the poor, to proclaim release to the prisoners and recovery of sight to the blind, to liberate the oppressed, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." When he rolled up the scroll, he gave it back to the synagogue assistant and sat down. Every eye in the synagogue was fixed on him. He began to explain to them, "Today, this scripture has been fulfilled just as you heard it." This recitation is largely from Isaiah 61, 1 and 2, though "to let the oppressed go free" is borrowed from Isaiah 58, 6. Each of these intertexts contributes more than just the words recited. Together, they clearly invoke themes of Jubilee, repeating the Greek word for release. Release is a key theme in Luke. Jesus' healing ministry is depicted as release from the binding powers of Satan. Forgiveness is primarily understood as release from sin, which is itself figured as release from debt. The Jubilee that Jesus has come to declare is marked by release from sin, illness, and debt. This Jubilee release is not only a matter of declaration only. There is a Jubilee way of life, of enacting the release declared. When Jesus says in Isaiah 61, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing," his meaning is plain. He has come to declare the eschatological, that is, final end times, Jubilee, and set the land and the people free. He has come to call God's people home. He has come to cast a vision for the future that realizes the hopes of a past they may have forgotten. He has come to enact the longed-for eschatological home in their midst. And so our question is, why is demonstrating the future Jubilee such an important part of Jesus' ministry? And how might enacting eschatological home in their midst be a description for our lives as well? At their best, as they are when Jesus is the one inviting people to the table, meals are anticipations of the kingdom. And even when they are less than they ought to be, meals nevertheless reveal the ways in which we have been unhomed. In such experiences of being unhomed, meals can become moments in which we can see the ways God welcoming us to be at home with one another, and with the ways God is remaking the larger contexts in which our homes exist. All this may sound a bit far-fetched at the moment. The rest of the book, we hope, will make it more believable. For now, we simply want to be prepared to notice the way that as Jesus is made known in the breaking of bread, he is at the same time revealing the nature of the home to which we are invited. Sometimes this will feel like remembering a home we once knew, even if or precisely because we can't quite place our memory of being at home. Sometimes this will feel like the exhilarating imagination of an entirely new world. Sometimes it will feel like both at once. This is what it is to be beckoned home as we are invited to the table. So, how does this understanding of what a meal is contrast with others in our families or in our culture? For example, thinking of meals as fuel or as networking opportunities. How might this change how we approach our meals and who we eat with? And as always, what is God saying to you in this discussion, and what are you going to do about it? So looking forward to having this discussion around meals and eschatology and hospitality and God's goodness on Sunday.